For a number of years, I had believed and been told that it would be easy to find good jobs after getting an engineering degree. This advice did not come with any caveats about anything else I'd need to do besides get the degree or how to differentiate myself in the job market. I had just heard that the degree would lead to success, and so I just went with the flow of the courses and everything and didn't put much effort into anything else. And I ended up unemployed for 5 months after graduation. Today I will tell you the story, the events leading up to it, and the underlying reasons why this unemployment occurred. Before we get into the story of my unemployment as a mechanical engineering graduate, be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button, and stay tuned for future videos about engineering careers and how to succeed in yours. So during early college, I was transitioning in. I was honestly kind of socially awkward and trying to adjust to this new lifestyle that was very different from what I had been used to before. And I really just didn't know what was coming up in the future and in the job market and how to prepare for it because I had never experienced what it was like searching for a job and what was needed to get one and such. And so I was just putting all of my eggs into one basket of the coursework. I didn't know how to gain skills that would be valuable to employers and didn't even know what those skills were. So I just didn't really know what to do. I didn't really have much of an interest in extending myself further into clubs and stuff and research projects that seemed optional at the time. I did do a part-time job as a tutor because I was paid to do that, and most of my time was devoted just to the coursework, to that part-time job as a tutor, and being social and church stuff. And I didn't get involved in these engineering clubs or activities because they would have taught me practical skills and how to solve engineering problems that would come up in the day-to-day of a job, or at least just the basics of what kinds of problems could be solved. So I really missed out on some valuable lessons learned there. And so just a lot of confusion about what was important in the economy and in the job market, because I knew that getting an internship was a good idea, but I didn't know how crucial it was. I didn't know that it was gonna make or break a lot of job offers or getting interviews and such. And I didn't know what the best ways to get them were, because I didn't have involvements really in clubs, and that certainly didn't help. And eventually I realized I should probably try getting involved in research projects and such, and even that was a little bit difficult to get, because I remember emailing a bunch of professors, and most of them say I don't really have any extra work for someone to do at the moment. So that's, even from the very beginning, you just need to really widen your net, ask around a ton just to see who has what that you could possibly do. And I did go to my university's career fair once or twice, and that was a good idea. I didn't really know how to set the best impression for myself during that time, and also employers, I think, could see I wasn't super involved in things that were related to the problems they were trying to solve. So I think I could have done a better job in these. Also, maybe going to more of them than I did would have helped. And so ultimately, I didn't land an internship prior to graduation. The summer before my last year of college, which is when most people would get internships and work them before their last year of college, and I had applied to probably 10 to 20 internships, got 2 interviews, but didn't land either position. The employers likely didn't see me as being particularly dedicated or proving I could solve these practical engineering problems. They knew that I could do the textbook problems and solving equations and stuff, but they didn't see that I could do the practical problems that were needed for their particular positions. And so what I did after I failed to land an internship the summer before senior year, I realized I needed to try to get involved in something that would develop practical skills. And I found a research project I was able to help with, and I started attending meetings with Engineers Without Borders, and I didn't actually contribute to this particular club. I didn't provide any practical contributions, just kind of attended meetings, listening, and we'll get to that later. Just attending meetings doesn't really help if you're not actually contributing to things. And so it was all too late. After graduation, I spent 5 months applying to entry-level jobs, going to networking groups, talking to my university's career counselors. I stayed at my parents' house, and so I didn't have actual financial issues, but I felt really hopeless and worthless compared to my peers who got jobs. Like, if you can ever think of times where you're comparing yourself to other people who either seem more successful or further ahead in life, or objectively they actually are. And so this is a terrible, awful feeling to have. And keep in mind, like, with people experiencing this kind of thing and also it being amplified by financial issues, like, unemployment's just really not fun. It's unfortunately a reality of just some phases of our lives, but yeah, it's just, ideally we can do everything we can to avoid being unemployed. It just felt impossible to get a job, and I believed there was a strong chance I just didn't have a future. I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. Am I going to pivot to a completely unrelated field, something that was unrelated, low paying? I would have to teach physics or something, or do insurance sales, which really glad I didn't get into that, of course. But my 3.3 GPA didn't help. I mean, I guess technically my GPA could have theoretically been higher if it had been above 3.5, which I had heard stories of people with above 3.5 who still had the same problem. If you're putting all of your eggs into coursework and nothing else, then the employers are still going to see, like, this person doesn't have the experience with applying a lot of this theoretical stuff from classes to solving practical problems. And so it just doesn't really align with us, with what the employer is looking for. And so that's just really important to know, is that, I mean, my GPA was pretty high. It wasn't the highest ever, of course, but it being pretty high didn't help. And so although I was getting a decent number of interviews during these 5 months, and employers, though, were continuously choosing people with experience, I was getting a lot of calls back, just them saying they decided to go with another candidate. A lot of cases that was it. They don't provide any other feedback, which there were a few cases where they just said, like, hiring someone with a bit more experience. But this is super frustrating, because if you can't get the job and so you can't get experience, it's definitely the problem of the chicken or the egg, which comes first. And so this is a recipe for feeling stuck if you don't actually do what you need to do in the first place in order to gradually move your way up and get more and more experience to be higher demand with employers. But let's talk about how I do think I got lucky in the end. And this was in 2017, which I kept hearing at the time was record low unemployment, or even if not record, it was just very low unemployment. So I think that also helped at the time. Unfortunately, if right now, during a time of higher unemployment at the time of writing, which right now it is November of 2025, or during a time that's just higher unemployment, like, it's unfortunate that that's just going to be an even tougher time than I had, probably. But the 5 months of trying everything to get a job, like I mentioned, of going to networking groups, talking to career counselors, etc., and I eventually landed a job with a metallurgical foundry. I was doing quality control, and it was just a lot of tedious, boring clerical work, and I didn't enjoy this job. I've talked about this in other videos. It was something that I kind of continued to feel hopeless because I didn't think this job was going to get me anywhere. I was pretty traumatized by just being in the job market for so long, for 5 months, and experiencing just no one cares about you at all. And so I just felt like this job isn't helping me to avoid that in the future. And I think I would say I got lucky a second time. I found better opportunities in the aerospace industry, doing mechanical jobs, a little bit of systems engineering as well. So I think I got lucky in the end that I'm where I am now, able to get some pretty decent positions in the aerospace industry. So I think just want to really emphasize the fact that we don't want luck to be what ends up getting us into a good career, especially since I may have even gotten stuck with that first job, which wouldn't have been great. I would have been constantly looking for something better. So positioning yourself early on, it goes back to what I think I would do differently if I were to go back to the very beginning. The earlier you start working towards your career, besides the coursework, the better. From day one, and I want to emphasize day one, or ideally even earlier than day one of college, you want to be finding ways to get involved, engineering clubs, research projects, contributing to these things, actually having stuff to put on your resume and say that I solved this problem, I designed this part, or I helped make it so that this part didn't fail during use, or I built this circuit, or whatever you're doing. Be able to point to something and say, I did that. Even if it was a team effort, you talk about what you did on that team. What would the team have been lacking if you were not on it? And find whatever problems, whatever opportunities you can to solve practical problems. And this is what you're going to show to internship employers, because this is a crucial step that you can't skip. Internships. That's going to be what gets you the job in the long run. And so you want to be showing these internship employers that you are capable of solving practical problems. Ideally, these problems are going to be directly related to what that employer is doing. So ideally, if the employer is working on structural analysis for helicopters, or even just structural analysis using ANSYS in general or something, then you're going to want to ideally have experience solving practical problems, doing structural analysis in ANSYS. But in the end, it's much better to solve unrelated practical problems in engineering than to have no involvement in any of these clubs or any practical problems to show for. Because employers can still see, okay, well, you did something, maybe they can explain how this relates to what we're doing, and maybe it'll still be good enough. That's going to be a lot better than having nothing. Ideally, in a perfect world, do exactly related to something that you would enjoy and that is in high demand. But above all, just get something while you can, even if it's unrelated. Better yet, start doing your research early on, even when you're still in high school, or as soon as you decide you want to go down the path of engineering. Do your research on what employers are looking for. Just learn practical stuff. Get your hands dirty with your car or your lawnmower or different kinds of machinery that you work with, or find opportunities. I don't know if that many employers or machine shops or anything would hire someone early on like that, but whatever opportunities you can to see how these practical problems are solved in manufacturing plants, machine shops, processes, automotive shops, stuff like that. Just whatever you could do, like early on, the earlier the better. So yes, that sums up everything. Just make sure that from day one, as soon as you figure this out, and not just in engineering, but in any career you'd potentially go down, ideally the earlier the better that you learn about the thing and prove that you can do it. That's what shows employers that you're passionate and that you can help tackle their problems and get done what they need you to get done. And so that's my story and my perspective about the time that I was unemployed in mechanical engineering. And if you like this video or learned something, be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button. Tune in for future videos about engineering careers where I help you to get into your engineering career and be successful in it. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.